Hey everyone, so I'm sure a lot of you saw that video of Patrick breaking his foot.
Well, it's been about 6 weeks now. I'm no longer in the boot, and there's 3 things that I've been working on: mobility, strength, and dexterity. And I've been working with Mattie at Affiliate PT, who has made worlds of difference for me. I've been out of my boot for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now, and I'm still hobbling around a little bit. I'm trying to walk normally, but in that time, we have made significant improvements. And if you guys are in the Columbus area, we cannot recommend them enough. Mattie is a wizard with the body. What we're gonna show you guys today is some of the drills that we've been working on, some things we can do to identify the problems. There's 29 muscles in the foot and ankle area, and being smashed in that boot for 4 to 6 weeks, however long you guys could potentially be in there, there's a lot of atrophy as well as a lot of tightness that we want to be sure that we're improving upon again. So one of the first drills that we did was we tested my ankle mobility. So I'm gonna give myself about a fist distance away from a box, an object, a rig post, and I'm gonna see how far I can get my knee over top of my toe while still keeping my heel on the ground. That has drastically improved because I've already been doing this for a couple weeks now, but I can also compare before and after, so 2 weeks ago to now, and also my right leg or my good leg compared to my bad leg. So I've got some reference of where I should be or need to be in the future.
I think it's super important that you always start with a general baseline. So with anything that we do, if we're gonna be working on our strength in a squat, we're gonna start with a general baseline. So this is our baseline test, working on the range of motion to know that we can be getting more and that our drills are helping or that they are working towards our end goal.
So you guys can see the difference there. It is still drastically easier for me to get my right knee well over my toe rather than on my left side, where it's still a little bit of a struggle even though I can get it there. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna work on a couple things we can do to improve that.
A big reason we are showing you this video is because a lot of you responded to the original video of Pat breaking his foot, saying that you had a similar injury. You wanted to know how he was rehabbing it, how he was coming out of the boot back into what he was doing, and these are some of the things that he's been doing.
To work on that ankle flexion and mobility, what I've got is I have a band. I'm gonna stick my foot inside this band. I'm gonna create some tension. As low as I can get that on my foot, I'm going to put some pressure on my knee, leaning over my big toe. Again, still trying to keep my heel on the ground. And I can basically spend as much time here as I want. So I'm looking to undo some of that damage and that time that I spent not being able to get into this position because the boot just prevents you from doing that. Over the course of 4 weeks, I think there was about a 1-inch difference in circumference around my left calf to my right, which was definitely more than I was expecting.
This is an awesome stretch and an awesome drill, whether or not you've broken your foot. For those of us when we're squatting, especially in an overhead squat, we want to be able to get our knee out over our toe, and that's going to help us keep our torso a little bit more upright. So what this is going to help us do is loosen up all of the tissue in the fascia along the back of the leg, so the calf, through the Achilles, all the way down through the bottom of the foot, including the arch of the foot. So if we feel like we have tight arches, this is gonna be another one to do. Think about taking those toes and spreading them wide as you continue to drive the knee out over the toe.
All right, so now working back into some strength. When I first got out of my boot, there was a ton of atrophy within my foot, as well as strength. I had hardly any, which is amazing how quickly that goes away. But working back into some strength, I had to start with some baby steps. And the first thing being taking a kettlebell, setting it on my knee and working through some single leg calf raises, getting my heel off the ground, working through the arch of my foot and up onto my toes. I had to start with a super light kettlebell to start. Started working my way up in weight. As it got easier, it does come back fairly quickly, but it definitely takes time. In the beginning is absolutely some baby steps. After spending about a week or so working with the kettlebell, we then moved on to some negatives. So I've got a plate set up on the floor. When I first started these, I used a post in front of me so I could actually hold that post as support and give myself a little bit of assistance as well. I'm to the point now where I don't need that, and what I'm gonna use is a band. So I've got our pull-up bar, I've got a band hanging from the pull-up bar. What I'm gonna do is step up onto this plate, assist myself into getting my foot into that extended arch position, then lower myself back down. So I don't still have the strength to do that on my own. I can't do a single leg calf raise on my left leg yet. But what I can do is work through that range of motion, use both feet to assist myself up to the top, and then work myself past that range of motion to still strengthen it without having to work that load in the opposite direction just yet. All right, so we've touched on some mobility, we've touched on some strength. Next one's gonna fall a little bit into both of those, but we're gonna talk a little bit about dexterity. So with my foot being squished in that boot, coming out of that, I've got dexterity in my right foot, the ability to move my toes and foot individually. My left side was much more laborious to make those movements happen. So we're looking to get a little bit of motor control back and some of that dexterity as well. So I'm gonna do balance on one foot on my plate. I've got a 45 underneath, and I'm gonna reach my foot forward, touching my heel, working on my balance out to the front, keeping that balance working out to the side, and then that same thing going back behind me. So I'm working through the ability to create some stability in these positions, making my toes work. Those individual muscles help find me balance and coordination and regaining some of that dexterity that allows me to have motor control in my foot. All right, so as I get better at these two, I'm gonna raise this plate up. So I've got a single 45 right now. As I get more comfortable and that gets a little bit easier, I'm gonna work through that range of motion. I'm gonna go a little bit higher with my plate. Again, spending some time with just in your bare feet is also gonna help get that dexterity back, make your foot muscles work.
Strong feet and strong foot muscles are going to create an excellent foundation. So whether you've been in a boot or a cast, if you spend time in shoes all day long, that's going to help prevent our feet from feeling strong. So these drills are great to do whether or not you've been in a boot or a cast. For anybody who wears shoes all day long, doesn't spend much time barefoot, this is an awesome drill for you.
All right, so the last thing we're going to touch on is going to be some soft tissue work. So not only is there a lot of atrophy that happens if you were in a cast, a boot, a cast that's just gonna kind of smush your foot, or soft tissue that not only doesn't get used, but also atrophies. So spending some time doing soft tissue work is something that was hugely beneficial to me, has been and will continue to be. I mentioned this previously, but the first couple days, just walking, nothing out of the ordinary, the bottom of my foot and my calf was so sore from having to work through some of that soft tissue that hadn't been used. It felt like I'd walked a marathon on little pebbles.
Muscle scraping, when it comes to breaking up adhesions in the tissue, can be extremely beneficial because it's going to bring fresh blood flow to the area and fresh nutrients, which is going to allow the muscle to recover and heal quicker because that new fresh blood flow is going to push out all the old stale stuff. So it's similar to like a foam roller, but with the tool, you can isolate an area or get into harder to reach areas and apply even more pressure. So that's what I'm going to do on Patrick's calf. And I'm going to show you it's going to turn a little bit red, which is actually okay. If you feel a lot of bumpy adhesions like he was talking about, then that's kind of the area that you want to be focusing on because it's a lot of, that means the fascia is not sliding and gliding the way it's supposed to be, and we want to kind of work through those adhesions. The tool that I'm using is from Sidekick. This is actually a tool that I've used for recovery in my training since about 2017. It's just super beneficial, especially when you have sore muscles or areas that are just maybe feel like your range of motion is lacking a little bit. This is a really great way to recover. So I love using it before bedtime, and now I've loved getting to use it on Patrick. Hopefully you found some of these things beneficial, whether you've been in a boot and you've been injured, or you're just looking to improve your own strength, mobility, or dexterity when it comes to your ankles and your feet and your calf and all around fascia of your lower body. Mattie has been instrumental in keeping me healthy throughout my career. She actually came to the games with me last year. She's been instrumental for Patrick coming back from this injury and tons of people within our gym. So if you're in Columbus, I would definitely check her out. Also, last piece, if you're interested in learning more about the Sidekick tool that I was using to scrape Patrick, check that link out below and drop anything else below that you guys want to see or anything you had questions on. We love bringing you this kind of content and sharing with you new drills that we find super beneficial. So if you have any specific questions, drop those below. Have a great day.
Stepping out flat, body hot like July. Never been from the inside. All I can say, oh, nah, 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 nah. No compromise. Putting up day and night.